Am I crazy? Thought what I'd do is I'd show you how I'm doing it. It's really like making a normal t-shirt top half of a dress, really. Of the neck hole. Right. I was gonna say really helpful guidelines, but it might not be helpful at all. I hope it's helpful for you all. She's a bit wonky up this end actually, so she's not fully straight, so I'm just gonna straighten her off. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. That's So Lexie, and let's just address the elephant in the room. The caravan finally set up in the annex. So this is a completely impromptu episode for you guys because I'm experimenting with something that I've never done before. I'm not really much of a hacker. I really like to follow the instructions because I'm not confident in myself enough normally to try something, even though I realistically know the inner workings of most of the sewing techniques that I need to use. Today I'm making the ginger dress by Peony Patterns, and I'm making it in a size 1 just so I can remember. And I'm making it in this really cute Christmas themed fabric, all from Melco Fabrics in Sydney. Well, not quite Sydney. This dress is technically a lined bodice, and I'm in far north Queensland, and a lined bodice in this crazy heat that I'm experiencing right now. And if you can hear like a whirring sound, that's the aircon because it's so hot I can't not have it on. Sorry guys. The thought of a lined bodice, I have made one of them with a lined bodice, and I thought nah, it's just too thick with the cotton lycra. Maybe if you used like a rayon bamboo or something, it would a little bit less thick and bulky feeling. Just the thought of a lined bodice, I was just like nah, it's not gonna happen. She can wear that during winter. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I can do a neckband on this, right? Pretty sure I can hack it. But I wasn't 100% certain on the numbers and all that sort of thing. So I got on the Peony Patterns sewing group, not the sew alone one, the sewing group one, and I just asked the question, am I crazy for wanting to do just a neckline on this? So I didn't, or a binding, you can even do a binding on this, but I'm doing a, I don't know what it's called, like I call it a crew neckline because most of the time this particular technique is done on a crew t-shirt. I'm using ribbing also from Melco, and actually on my tester I used the ribbing. I don't know if I'm going to use it yet. I kind of want that more slightly seamless look. I might do it actually out of cotton lycra. Let's try it with cotton lycra because I think it'll be just a little bit more, like it will be less noticeable. I don't want the neckline to be the standout piece of this particular thing. There is a lot going on this dress anyway, but yeah. All right, let's do that. So using cotton lycra at this time, thought what I'd do is I'd show you how I'm doing it because I'll probably forget if I don't keep doing these dresses. So for next time, I'll remember. And it also helps out you guys. So I hope this all helps, and I want to shout out to the ladies of the Peony sewing group. Thank you so much for all your advice, and I have kind of gone a bit rogue with a couple of other things as well, so I'll show you that as well. Alright, let's get into it. I have a fake placket front bodice piece, right? Exactly the same as the actual instructions, okay? I have a back bodice piece. That's it for the bodice. What I'm gonna do, this pattern is mainly, it's a really good pattern if you don't actually have an overlocker, because all the instructions are for a normal sewing machine. So I'm going rogue and using my overlocker, but still trying to stick to the seam allowances. A lot of the time they are saying to press open the seam allowances. It just makes them a little less bulky. Problem is, if you overlock, you can't do that. So you may notice it a little bit bulkier. Having said that too though, you're not using 2 layers in the bodice, so it's not really gonna matter. It's just like making a normal t-shirt essentially. This is really like making a normal t-shirt top. half of a dress, really. Let's do this. I'm going to overlock the shoulder seams. I am then going to sew the side seams. So this is a little bit of the sleeve and this is the side seam, okay? And I'm gonna sew that up. You can clip these together so that you get a nice straight line, but I just do it on my overlocker because I find it's easier for me. When they're this small, you end up only putting like 2 clips on, and then by the time you actually go to the sewing machine or the overlocker, you literally end up taking them both off anyway. Don't go fast if you're new to it, just go nice and slow. Put your knife on as well if you're doing the large seam allowance as well. I find I use the knife with every single bit of overlocking I ever do because I like how it just gives you a nice really clean cut. I'm not gonna show like all of me over at the machines. I will show you. Oh, you're not really gonna be able to see. I should have used different colored thread just to show you guys, but I've just simply closed up all the seams on here. I did also use the overlocker on the placket, and I don't think that was part of the instructions. I'll be honest, I wasn't actually paying that much attention. I kind of just looked at the photos and went, okay, I need to do that, X, Y, and Z. Makes sense in my head, and it worked out. So if you're gonna use an overlocker if you want to use an overlocker for the placket, it works as well. So, but all right, let's turn this little guy the right way in. Also, just while I'm doing this, I thought I would tell you about this fabric as well. This is actually Melco fabric. Now, I've talked about Melco fabric 1,000,001 times on this channel because Mel at Melco Fabric is really, really knowledgeable when it comes to her fabric, and she has done a lot of research into ethical practices, sustainability, things like that, right? It's all, they're all hype words, right? But Mel's not just a hype girl. She knows what she's talking about and she's done the proper research into these things. And for that reason, this particular fabric I'm using and any new fabric she is bringing into the store is all Australian cotton, for starters, Australian milled, Australian printed, and then shipped to her, and she is cutting it all out with her team. I have bought these, by the way. This is not sponsored whatsoever. This is my money. This is just how much it means to me to use Australian products. So I have my piece put together, my bodice, right? One single piece of bodice. I'm going to work out how much neckline I need. Okay, so how much ribbing or how much cotton lycra. And I think I'm going to use, I don't want to show you guys yet. Hang on. I'm gonna do something that's technically against the rules just because I want the look. So I'm going to show you a tip to work out the length of the neck hole. Ugh, don't like that word. So this whole neck line, okay? So all of this. When you measure something round, tape measures aren't always the easiest to use. So I'm going to use a piece of cotton. Let me just get a different color so you guys can see it better. Alright, let's use this red cotton, okay? So I'm going to take my piece of cotton and I am going to go from the shoulder seam here. I'm going to put it right there. Whoop. Right there, can you see that? Oh, keeps wanting to jump out. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to slowly go around. Now this measurement I'm using just a little bit outside of the actual cut piece. It's not going to matter that much because knit fabric is so forgiving at the end of the day. That's why I love sewing with it, because if you really make that much of a mistake, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm just slowly, so I don't get any like real like straight lines, because like obviously this isn't a straight line, so you don't want it to be straight. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go to here. Okay, and then I'm gonna turn it over. And then I'm gonna take, you probably could like clip that, I suppose, so that you get it really, really accurate, but it's really not that big of a deal. Okay, I'm gonna continue going around, slowly, slowly, slowly. Round and round and round. Ooh. Just gonna pull it back a little bit. So I did pull that just slightly. Honestly, not going to make that much of a difference. If I had like pulled it for like a good centimeter or like an inch or whatever, then yeah, sure, I would have redone it all, but honestly, not gonna make that much of a difference. Okay, now I have my whole, okay, it's 28 centimeters. 28 centimeters is the measurement that I am going to take onto my calculator, in other words, my phone. 28, take away 85%. 23.8. Now I'm probably gonna go 24. I'm gonna round it up. If it had been like, if I was using like your normal ribbing, like the actual proper ribbing, I probably would have gone 23, because I know that the Melco ribbing is really stretchy. But because I'm going to be using the cotton lycra, the lovely ladies on that sewing group, on the Peony Patterns sewing group, they did mention that using the cotton lycra was a bit more restrictive, so I'm just going to take that into consideration right now. I'm going to go 24 centimeters. Please forgive me, I don't know what that is in inches. 24 centimeters, and I'm going to be using, ta-da! This does feature somewhere else on this particular dress, but what I really want it to do is I actually want the neckline to be like really, really stripy, like this. I know I said I wanted it a bit more subtle, but come on, creativity. All right, so I need it to be 24 centimeters. Now I can do this with this fabric because it's got quite good stretch both ways. If you haven't got good stretch both ways, then you, look, at the end of the day, all of this, you really need to do a tester for yourself. This is just really, I was gonna say really helpful guidelines, but it might not be helpful at all. I hope it's helpful for you all. If it's not, well then, please don't come knocking at my door. Okay, 24 centimeters. I'm gonna cut it this way. I need to cut off a nice straight edge, so I'm gonna go get my acrylic ruler. I love my new acrylic ruler, by the way. Bought it for myself. Bought it for myself for Christmas, basically, ages ago. And you know, it's how you get away with everything this time of the year, or like this end of the year. It's like you just say it's your Christmas present, don't you? Okay, I'm just gonna check. What I don't like about this ruler is it is in inches. Okay, 24 centimeters. Oh, 24 centimeters is like, can you guys see that? 9 and a bit, and I don't know what the bits are, so I'm just gonna hold my finger down. You guys want to see this? Probably not really, but I'm gonna show you anyway. Good. And so on my tester, I did it at an inch wide. It's just something. Oh no, that's not an inch. It's an inch. I thought I'll just show you my tester. Okay. This is proper Melco ribbing. It's the color Moonlight. If you're looking for it, it's really cute. This is the actual. I actually cut out the lining and then went, no, let's give it a go. So I'm going to turn this into another dress. This is the ribbing, like I said, and I did an inch of this ribbing. Actually, miraculously had a perfect amount of ribbing already sewn up and everything. It was bizarre. It was like it was meant to be. That is that. I'm going to do, I want a smaller seam. Smaller seam? No, I want a smaller neckline. So I'm going to try just a little bit smaller. Can't go too much smaller though, because like it will be extra fiddly when pinning it all together. That's what I hate. Okay, so here's my neckband. for like the third time. Okay, what I'm gonna do is take my 4 centimeter wide piece of cotton lycra by 24. It's like a smidge over 24. I'm going to take my neckband, fold it right sides together, overlock this. I'm just gonna do a small overlock seam there, okay? I'm going to fold it over, grab my iron out. I'm gonna do a really quick, that's so not the right size, very small. Now I'm confusing myself. That is way too small. Ooh, okay, it's actually not, surprisingly. But I don't think that's going to go over Lila's head. Like, do a bit of a stretchy test. That is not going to fit over Lila's head. Like, she's going to scream if I try and get that over her head. See, this is why it's all trial and error. And it might have to do with the fact that I've cut it on a different stretch way, but it's pretty much the same stretch both sides. I'm just gonna try and find some cloud ribbing, I think, and just do ribbing because I know it worked on the other one, so let's just do that. Alright, I have a couple of random pieces of cloud ribbing that I've had, obviously, from maybe I mucked up another one or something. Alright, what is it? Oh, look at that. It's exactly 4 centimeters wide. And I need 24 centimeters and it is 27, so I'm just going to cut it to 24 centimeters. She's a bit wonky up this end actually, so she's not fully straight, so I'm just going to straighten her off. Alright, let's try this again. Nice and straight piece. Going to fold it right sides together, and so it still looks crazy small, but I have a feeling the other one did too, and because it's just that little bit more stretchier than cotton lycra. I don't actually know what the specific stretch percentages are. I'm pretty sure you can find all of that actually on Melco's. Ah, that's much better. Look at that, that's a heaps bigger amount to stretch over Lila's head. Alright, let's go that. Oh, I shouldn't have done that because now I've curled it all together. Ah, no! Okay, word of warning. Don't do a stretch test with rib. Grab your bodice piece. Find the middle of the back bodice piece and pin your seam on that. This is very much just same as any other t-shirt neck binding I have ever done, and I've done a lot. Then take the front of that I'm going to take the middle front of the ribbing and put it on my middle front bodice piece, line those up. You can be really, like, I don't want to say the word, I don't want to use the A word, but you know, you can be really precise and measure it specifically what is the middle side and actually quarter it properly and then pin the other quarters onto the shoulder seam. But realistically, I'm not that much of a precise person, and that's why knit patterns suit me so much. When I'm sewing for Lila, I'm not that worried about it. She's going to grow like a weed if the neckline is not 100%. Honestly, no one else is going to know except you. That's my philosophy. And I don't mean you at home, I mean as in the person that's actually sewing it. So I wouldn't go too crazy. Let's sew the neckline on. And I'm going to put the ribbing side down on my overlocker. I might show you this just in case you've never actually done one of these necklines. I'm going to start at the back of my neckband, okay? Ribbing side down, okay? I've got my knife on as well, okay? I'm going to slide all of my fabric underneath and put my foot down. Without stretching the bodice piece, I am going to start sewing. I'm going to now slightly pull on the ribbing, but not pull on the bodice. It's pretty much impossible not to, but just try your best. Using my fingers as like clamps, I'm going to hold that tension and let it sew. Okay, this is really hard with the camera right where I'd normally have my arm too. Okay, pulling that, it's all nice and neat. That should stretch for the whole rest of the neckline, so I'm going to continue. I had also basted, like done a base stitch on the placket as well. You really should do that. That is part of the normal instructions. Can you see that? I have a little bit of fabric missing just there. I cut into it incorrectly, so that's going to be chopped off. Okay. Doesn't need too much more stretching, but I am going to try and cut off a little bit more of the seam allowance past the end point. Alright, my tails, I'm going to, all I do is do a little knot. I usually do 2 knots, try and get them as close to the seam as possible. All the way down there, okay there. And then I chop, chop, chop. You can, for a much more professional look, you can knot it and then the tail end put through with a crochet hook or a tapestry needle. You can push it through, back through the stitches from the overlocker. If you want to know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments and I can make it into a video for you. Okay, this looks really good actually. I'm really impressed with this. It's turned out quite well. I'm gonna give it a little, just a really quick iron just to flatten down those, just to flatten down that. Can twin needle stitch this so that it will really stay down. That seam allowance will really stay down, but I'll see how I go for time, and if I really feel like it really needs it. It does look professional because that's what your ready to wear stuff looks like, and that's how they do it. But it's just an extra step. If you don't have the time, it's not going to mean that the whole garment's going to unravel, let's put it that way. So I wouldn't say it's a necessary step, it's just a more perfected step. Well guys, there you go. You have the cutest little ginger bodice with a single layer. I'm really excited. Oh, I actually have one more thing I have to do that is different as well. Next step, cuff. This is different again to what is in the original. I've already done this step, but it's basically exactly the same as the neckline. So I'll put the overlay of it here for you so you can see what I'm talking about. What I'm going to do is put the seam of this, I'm going to put this seam on the bottom of my sleeve. This is good for a beginner to learning how to stretch an armhole cuff around fabric because you don't actually have to stretch it at all. So this particular cuff isn't designed to stretch and like hold around your arm. It is actually meant to be loose. I'm going to attach it with the overlocker again. I'm not going to clip. You can clip, but I'm not going to clip. What I probably didn't mention was raw edge to raw edge as well. Bodice right side out, cuff right side in, technically both sides are right side, so don't stress about that so much. But raw edges matched together. Give it a little pull, give it a little fiddle around, make sure it fits in there nicely, make sure those edges are all nice and aligned, and sew it up. Also, what I really love about, sorry, that was an extreme close-up. Also, what I love about this pattern, no armholes, like no attaching arms or sleeves. Sleeves is the word. No attaching sleeves. So it's quicker because it's an extra 2 pattern pieces that you don't have to cut out, which we've also eliminated an extra 2 pattern pieces by taking out the lining. And it's just an extra 2 steps that you don't need to worry about. And sometimes it's a few more steps if you have to do a gather stitch to like ease the arm side in. I am so impressed with this. I'm so glad that I listened to that little voice and all the beautiful voices on the sewing group as well, and actually gave this a go. Look at that. Another thing I tried differently on this that I've never tried before, always looked at it and thought it was a beautiful thing but never had the guts to do it, was actually cutting the tartan. Or is this tartan? It's not tartan, this is plaid? Check? No, this is plaid, I think. So let me show you the big piece, but cutting it on the bias. So like, this is beautiful, yeah? Yes, absolutely stunning, love it. But cutting it on the angle, on the 45, you can't really get the full effect. That's straight, that's bias, right? Look how much, just a little bit more like detailed it looks on the bias. How cool is that? I was scared that it was going to affect the stretch. That's why I didn't do it on the bodice pieces. If you're kind of new to sewing, cutting things on the bias, like they'll be extra stretchy. And yeah, I wasn't willing to take that much of a risk when I don't have a lot of this and you can't get it anymore. It's Melco as well. That is the finished bodice piece. Ah, so cute. I'm really happy with that. It's going to be so much lighter for Lila to wear in the next, literally we've got 1 week to go till Christmas. So I apologize if I haven't got this up before then. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of it because I'm going to do it to the instructions from now on. So if you're interested in doing the ginger dress by Peony Patterns, also an Australian company, might I add. So this entire video is Aussie. I'm an Aussie, Mel's an Aussie, and the pattern is an Aussie pattern. Anyway, I am so excited that I could actually support all my fellow Australians that I really truly believe in. None of this is sponsored. This is purely my review on these products. So I hope this has inspired you guys to give your thoughts a bit more of a go. Don't be scared. It's only fabric. Always more fabric to be bought. Good luck. Merry Christmas. And I will see you in the new year. Bye guys. Yes, a giant sliced piece of ham, bub. It's in the very bottom. If you can't find the ham, then there's something wrong. Do you really need me to show?